Who really decides your value? Is it the crowd, watching, judging, commenting on every move you make? Or is it something unshakable inside you, something no opinion or applause can truly touch? In a world obsessed with likes, validation, and outside noise, it's easy to believe your self-worth lives in someone else's hands. Slowly, almost without noticing, you begin to measure yourself by reactions, approval, and attention. But here's the truth, drawn straight from ancient Stoic thinking. Your value has never belonged to the crowd. It comes from within, from your character, not from praise or criticism. This isn't just theory. Today, we're going deeper. In this video, you'll see how Stoic wisdom reshapes the way you see yourself, helps you navigate the constant noise of expectation, and challenges you to anchor your worth in who you are, not in how you're received. This shift alone changes how you speak, how you act, and how much power other people have over your emotions. Be warned, if you've spent years chasing validation, some of what you'll hear may feel uncomfortable. Letting go of approval often feels like losing safety, but in truth, it's the beginning of freedom. If you're ready to challenge the familiar pattern, to look inward instead of outward, and to build a life that isn't shaped by the crowd's mood, you're in the right place. Stay with us until the end. We'll break down why ancient philosophy matters more now than ever, and why facing the truth about self-worth takes courage and the discipline to live differently once you see it clearly. Welcome to Stoic Philosophy Daily, where your story matters. Share your biggest struggle with self-worth below. Then every comment you leave is a gift. Here, your voice matters. We read with care, answer with heart, and treat your journey as part of our own. This is more than a channel, it's a circle of strength. Type, "My worth is built from within" in the comments if you're ready to reclaim your story. Stay with us. The journey toward unshakable self-worth starts now. 1. The trap of external validation. External validation is a trap that catches you before you even realize you've stepped into it. A single like or comment can quietly dictate your mood, your confidence, even your sense of worth. Our culture feeds this addiction. Every notification delivers a small hit of dopamine, training your mind to look outward for reassurance instead of inward for stability. And the moment you let outside opinions define your value, something subtle but dangerous happens. You begin to give your power away. The ancient Stoics saw through this pattern clearly. They warned that the hunger for affirmation doesn't stay contained in one area of life. It spreads, not just online, but into your decisions, your identity, your relationships. At first, you chase approval casually. Over time, you start shaping your life for applause instead of alignment. What once felt harmless slowly rewrites how you see yourself. The Stoics taught that real happiness and self-respect grow from inner virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. Everything else, praise or criticism, is outside your control and ultimately irrelevant to your character. Their answer was to build what they called an inner citadel, a fortress within where your worth is anchored in who you are, not how you are received. This isn't about rejecting people or becoming cold. It's about deciding whose judgment truly deserves weight. The stronger your own standards become, the less you're pulled by the shifting winds of public opinion. You stop reacting, you start standing. Notice how easily the hook sets. You post something, then check for reactions. One compliment lifts you, one negative remark deflates you. Before long, but your peace depends on people who don't know you, don't live your life, and won't carry the consequences of your choices. Slowly, you begin molding your words, actions, and even your direction to meet external expectations, while the core of your self-worth quietly erodes. Try this. For the next 48 hours, every time you feel the urge to check your phone for validation, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really seeking right now? Is it growth or just a temporary mood shift? Notice how much energy goes into chasing approval, and imagine what changes if that energy is redirected into action, discipline, and self-respect. What would happen if your worth came from what you do, not how you're rated? What kind of freedom would that create? What would your life look like if outside opinions lost their grip on you? At Stoic Daily, we believe your value is not for sale. Drop "I build my worth from within" in the comments. When was the last time someone else's opinion shook your confidence, and why did it have that power? 2. Self-worth from within. Self-worth isn't a trophy you win from the crowd. It's a foundation you lay, brick by brick, inside your own mind. The more you chase applause, the more fragile you become. Because once your worth depends on approval, every mood, every opinion, every trending comment gains the power to shake your center. The Stoics recognized this danger centuries ago. They taught that real value is not granted through likes, titles, or public praise. It is generated daily by living in alignment with your deepest values, especially when no one is watching. This is where self-respect is built, quietly, repeatedly. The antidote to external validation is self-validation, not in the sense of ego or denial, but through building your own inner citadel, a place where your worth is measured by character, not reaction. Outside shocks may hit, but they don't decide who you are. Your actions do. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all pointed toward the same truth. Self-worth must come from within, not from the shifting approval of others. When you outsource your value, you also outsource your stability. When you reclaim it, your footing becomes firm. This begins with daily self-examination. Ask yourself, am I acting in harmony with my values? Am I proud of how I responded, not just what I achieved? This inner dialogue forges self-respect. And once it's established, praise no longer inflates you, and criticism no longer collapses you. This isn't about rejecting feedback or isolating yourself from others. It's about shifting the weight. Outside opinions become information, not identity. You listen, you adjust, but your worth is never on trial. Over time, through reflection, a journaling or honest review, your sense of self stabilizes. You stop living for applause and start living by principle. Even as the crowd shifts, your foundation holds. Try this. Tonight, before bed, write down one decision you made today. Ask yourself, did this action reflect the person I aim to be? Or did a desire for approval shape it? Notice how your mood changes when your actions align with your values instead of the crowd's preferences. Over a week, track how often you choose integrity over impression. What do you learn about your true standards when no one else is watching? At Stoic Daily, we believe self-worth is built, not borrowed. Drop "I build my value from within" in the comments. What's one way you'll measure your worth differently this week? 3. Cultivating inner courage. True courage isn't found in grand gestures or dramatic heroics. In Stoic philosophy, courage is quieter and far more demanding. It's the daily bravery to live by your principles when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unpopular. It's waking up and doing what's right, not what's easy. Choosing honesty over approval, integrity over comfort, authenticity over fitting in. But inner courage isn't a single moment of strength. It's the slow construction of a resilient core that resists the constant pull of external validation. The Stoics understood that the hardest battle is always internal, facing your own doubts, confronting flaws you'd rather ignore, resisting the subtle pressure to dilute who you are to belong. Each time you question your true motives, you begin to see clearly. Are your choices rooted in virtue, or shaped by the fear of being disliked? This awareness separates the short-lived rush of approval from the lasting stability of self-respect. One fades quickly, the other compounds over time. Importantly, this kind of courage includes humility, the courage to admit mistakes, to revise your path, to choose growth over pride. The Stoic way was never about pretending to have all the answers. It's about meeting your emotions honestly, working through anxiety without denial, and choosing your next action with clarity and intention. Imagine standing up for something that matters to you, even when it's unpopular, or having the humility to say, "I was wrong," and letting that truth refine you instead of breaking you. These moments may look small from the outside, but they are acts of real strength. Each time you face discomfort with honesty, you reinforce resilience, not the kind that merely survives, but the type that grows steadier under pressure. You stop wasting energy trying to control outcomes or chasing applause. Instead, you focus on what you can shape: your beliefs, your choices, and your willingness to keep becoming better. Over time, these small acts of courage, stitched together day by day, transform setbacks into training and make you sturdier against life's storms. Try this. Today, notice one moment when you feel tempted to hide, avoid, or take the easier path. Pause. Take a small step toward courage. Speak honestly. Admit a mistake. Stand for what matters, even quietly. Observe how your inner state shifts when you choose principle over comfort. What do you learn about your real strength when you act with integrity, even when no one is watching? Each act of inner courage is a quiet revolution, laying a foundation that endures. At Stoic Daily, we believe courage is the backbone of character. Drop "I choose courage over comfort" in the comments. When was the last time you acted bravely for your values? 4. Embracing vulnerability. Vulnerability isn't a weakness. In Stoic philosophy, it is a hidden source of strength, a doorway to real growth and deeper human connection. What most people try to hide is often where their power quietly begins. While many see vulnerability as something to suppress, the Stoics challenged this instinct. Real strength does not come from denying emotion or performing perfection. It comes from meeting fear, doubt, and imperfection with honest acceptance and rational self-reflection. Most people spend years running from vulnerability, believing that hiding weakness will make them tougher. But the Stoics understood the opposite. What stays hidden gains influence. The longer fear remains in the shadows, the more it shapes decisions from behind the scenes. The real test is to face flaws and uncertainty, not to indulge in them, but to bring them into understanding. This is the beginning of the vulnerability cycle. At first, fear and avoidance dominate, but once you pause and acknowledge your limits, fear begins to loosen its grip. Each time you meet discomfort with openness instead of denial, you reclaim authority over your inner life. Vulnerability no longer controls you quietly in the background. You see it clearly. You work with it deliberately. What once weakened you becomes something you can learn from. This takes more courage than maintaining appearances, naming uncertainty, and admitting limitation. Letting go of armor. These acts train you to stay present with discomfort rather than escape it. Over time, this builds a steadier form of resilience rooted in clarity, not pretense. So the Stoics believed that acknowledging vulnerability creates the conditions for genuine growth. Each fear you accept becomes a challenge you can face. Each flaw you examine becomes an instruction. Weakness, once understood, transforms into wisdom. This isn't emotional exposure for attention. It's self-honesty for self-mastery. By working through emotion instead of suppressing it, you develop resilience that goes beyond grit. Setbacks stop looking like failure and start revealing where strength can be built next. Importantly, this honesty also deepens relationships. Stoicism is not isolation. It is a grounded connection. When struggle is acknowledged with integrity, trust grows without sacrificing inner stability. Vulnerability, then, is not the end of strength. It is the process that forges it. Try this today and share one genuine struggle with someone you trust, not to be fixed or rescued, but to face it honestly. Notice what shifts when the shield drops and what remains solid within you. Ask yourself, how would your life change if uncertainty no longer operated from the shadows? What would transform if vulnerability became a step forward, not a setback? At Stoic Daily, we believe real resilience is built by facing, not hiding, vulnerability. Drop "I turn vulnerability into strength" in the comments. What truth about yourself will you choose to own today? 5. Building Stoic resilience. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. In Stoic philosophy, it's the ability to grow stronger through adversity, not merely endure it. Strength is not what appears after the storm. It is what is forged inside it. Life will test you. Unexpected criticism, disappointment, loss. Most people respond by resisting reality, complaining, or collapsing inward. The Stoics taught a different response. Setbacks are not punishments, they are training grounds. Each challenge invites you to strengthen your core and clarify what truly matters. At the heart of Stoic resilience is the dichotomy of control. You invest energy only in what you can shape, your thoughts, your choices, your reactions, and release what you cannot command. This is not passive acceptance. It is disciplined clarity. By owning your responses instead of fixating on outcomes, you preserve mental energy and remain steady when circumstances shake. Daily reflection becomes your laboratory. Like the Stoic evening review, you look back not to rehearse failure, but to study your responses. What did you handle well? Where did emotion take over? Each review turns pain into insight and obstacles into instruction. Over time, fewer events knock you off center because fewer events feel personal. Resilience also means mastering perception. Hardship can appear as a wall or a doorway, depending on how you frame it. The Stoics expected difficulty. They saw challenge as part of life's design, not an interruption. This doesn't soften suffering. It sharpens your ability to meet it with dignity, intention, and composure. Try this. Tonight, picture a challenge you are likely to face soon. An argument, a setback, a disappointment. Practice premeditatio malorum. See it clearly, not to feed fear, but to prepare your mind. Notice how anticipation reduces shock and steadies your response when difficulty arrives. Then reflect. How would your reaction change if every difficulty became a training session for your inner strength? Which part of your character grows strongest when things don't go your way? At Stoic Daily, we believe resilience is more than survival. It is self-mastery in motion. Drop "I build resilience with every challenge" in the comments. What is one way you will train your mind for strength this week? 6. Focusing on your own path. Most people spend their lives shaped by the expectations, judgments, and opinions of others, chasing approval, fearing criticism, and drifting from one trend to the next, without ever stopping to ask where they are actually going. Stoicism calls you back to something quieter, but far more demanding. The discipline of walking your own path, guided by reason and anchored by your core values. Not reacting to every voice, but choosing deliberately who you are and how you live. Your journey is not a reflection of society's shifting moods. It is a story you write with integrity, whether anyone is watching or not. When your direction comes from within, outside noise loses its authority over you. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by the pressure and chaos of the empire, returned again and again to a single question. Are we acting because something is right and good, or because we fear judgment or crave approval? That distinction defined the difference between a life of principle and a life of performance. Focusing on your own path means holding yourself to your highest standard, not the world's. When your actions are guided by what is just, wise, and true to your nature, even when misunderstood or inconvenient, you forge an inner strength that applause cannot buy and criticism cannot erode. This isn't isolation, it's a radical responsibility. Owning your choices, accepting consequences, and refusing to outsource your peace or blame your unhappiness on others. You stop waiting for permission to live in alignment with yourself. Every obstacle and setback becomes an instruction. The obstacle is the way. Each challenge is an opportunity to practice courage, patience, and justice in real time, not in theory. Your path will never be perfectly smooth, but every difficulty faced with self-honesty becomes another step toward wisdom and inner stability. Try this. Tonight, reflect on one decision you made today. Was it guided by your principles or shaped by a desire to fit in or avoid judgment? For the next week, keep a simple journal. Notice when you walk your path and when you drift from it. Over time, a different kind of fulfillment emerges. Not excitement or praise, but the quiet satisfaction that comes from living a life that is truly your own. At Stoic Daily, we believe clarity comes from commitment to your own path. What would change if every action you took honored your values instead of someone else's expectations? Walk your path, live virtuously. The Stoic journey isn't about merely enduring hard times. It's about learning how to transform every challenge into a step toward growth and self-mastery. Difficulty is not the interruption of the path. It is the path doing its work on you. As you continue walking your own way, let Stoic wisdom remain your compass. Every decision made with integrity, every moment faced with courage, each choice quietly sharpens your character and leaves an imprint on the world around you, even when no one notices. Remember this: true fulfillment never comes from chasing approval or avoiding criticism. It comes from living in alignment with your values, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when no one is watching. That is where character is revealed and strengthened. Your example matters more than you think. Every act of self-honesty, every disciplined response becomes a signal of clarity in a noisy world, not through preaching, but through consistency. Others learn not from what you say, but from how you live. Stay committed to this path. When setbacks appear, don't see them as signs of failure. See them as invitations to grow steadier, wiser, and more resilient. Let your actions reflect your principles, not passing moods or outside opinions. Thank you for being part of the Stoic Philosophy Daily Circle, a space where every story adds strength and every conscious choice builds something lasting. If you're ready to continue, choose one of the suggested videos and keep your practice alive. Growth is not a single insight. It's a daily return to what matters. Drop "I walk my path with courage" in the comments. Until next time, keep living by virtue, and let Stoic discipline guide you forward.
If you're seeking more, discover the full path on my channel.